Javo. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of our workshop on artificial intelligence and digital content creation. Today is our second day. We have 3 sessions coming up today. And for those who have joined today, let me tell you that we had 3 wonderful sessions yesterday. The first one was nuts and bolts of AI and digital content creation by Dr. Topolina Bhattashali, head of the Department of Information Technology, St. Xavier's College Autonomous, Kolkata. The second session was on artificial intelligence and legal implications by Professor Shambhu Prasad Chakraborty, Dean of the Department of Law and the Chair of the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Development Goals, University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. The third and the final session yesterday was on applications related to artificial intelligence by Professor Dr. Shukhendu Shamajdar, Professor and Director, School of Applied Sciences and Technology, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, University of Technology, West Bengal. Today now we begin our fourth session. The fourth session is on practical considerations of artificial intelligence, and to speak on this topic today, this morning, we have Dr. Kripa Bundhu Ghosh, Assistant Professor, Department of Computational and Data Sciences, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Kolkata. Dr. Kripa Bundhu Ghosh has over 13 years of expertise in the intersection of artificial intelligence and law. He earned his PhD from the Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, focusing on information retrieval in the legal domain. Dr. Ghosh has made significant contributions to the AI law field, earning prestigious accolades including the Best Paper Award at JURIX 2019 and Best Student Paper Award at ICAIL 2021. His research has been widely recognized with publications in top-tier journals like AI and Law, Springer, and presentations at leading conferences. In addition to his research, Dr. Ghosh has been actively involved in organizing AI law events, including workshops, shared talks like AILA, and international symposiums SAIL 21, SAIL 22, and SAIL 23, which featured talks by prominent researchers in the field. His contributions to the AI law community have recently been acknowledged through his induction to the editorial board of the AI and Law Journal. Dr. Ghosh's work continues to shape the future of AI and its application in the legal domain. Dr. Kripa Bundhu Ghosh. Before we go to the presentation, I would like to invite Father Julian Das to come and felicitate Dr. Kripa Bundhu Ghosh, our next speaker. May I now please request the lights of the dais to be off for the presentation to begin? Yeah. Oh yes, he will give it. Apni lapel deben to? Okay, you can speak.
Shall I start? Okay. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. And thank you very much for this opportunity to speak on the topic. As you can see, though the topic is practical considerations of artificial intelligence, and I added something to it, the AI and law angle. So as you heard that for 13, 14 years I've been working in this area. So I would like to throw some light on the AI interventions on some very simple real life problems in law. As you might be aware that the situation in Calcutta and maybe all over India, there are, I mean, demonstrations, right? That I mean, we need justice, right? But justice is finally delivered by the judges, right? And a sentence cannot be passed until and unless there is absolute surety that this has been committed by this person, and that is usually a long process, because if there is an iota of doubt in the mind of the judge that this person has actually committed this crime, sentence cannot be passed. And you might know the situation in Indian judiciary, that millions of cases are still pending. So we thought that artificial intelligence can be of some help. Though I will try to touch upon towards the end on some other I would say, I mean, high stake domains where artificial intelligence can make some difference. So this is about myself. I have been already introduced. I did my PhD in this area, artificial intelligence and law, and to my knowledge, so at least I did not meet anyone who did PhD in this area in India, I mean, before me. So I really could not get any help from any of my seniors, because no one had any idea what kind of problems that might be solved. And I continue working in this area, but in general I've been working on artificial intelligence, ML, and also nowadays you would see, I mean, large language models, right? Generative AI, chat GPT, this kind of areas. Okay, so I would love this session to be interactive, right? And I know most of you are professionals, and all of you are already, I mean, teachers, professors, right? So I would love to interact with you while the talk is going on, and of course after the talk. So this is a real life complaint lodged by someone in the consumer forum. So as you can see, it reads. So I have nothing against these companies, right? So this is the actual complaint. So none of the names have been masked. So it says, I have bought Samsung Galaxy Y Duos Pro phone a month ago from Chroma, Baroda. After coming home, when I checked the phone, I found that its microphone is not working. I took this mobile back to Chroma Baroda for replacement, as it was manufacturing defect. Chroma people were not ready to change the phone, but they wanted 7 more days to get confirmation from Samsung for changing the instrument. Samsung is also not ready to accept their mistake. They're ready to repair it, but not ready to change the instrument. What should I do now? Is there anyone who has faced a similar situation? Not exactly the same situation? Well, I can tell you I have. So what is the problem here? What does a common man? So common man is a gender, I mean, is meant to be gender, I mean, neutral term. It can be any citizen in India. So what is the problem? Yes, I'm expecting an answer. Any answer? What is the problem? What should a person do?
If the person knows the law, then it will come under the aspect of defect under Consumer Protection Act of 1986, and he will be going to file a consumer complaint in the district consumer forum, I guess.
Yes, you're right. But suppose so a common man, right, as I say, is not aware of law. You are, but that is why you are the only person who responded. You're right. So it comes under the Consumer Protection Act. So here it comes under unfair trade practice, and the most important part, it is within the warranty, right? So you can actually move to the court, or even if you do not move to the court, you can cite these portions and talk back to the persons involved, the company and Chroma Baroda. You can show that there are plenty of cases. Like this is an example of a prior case where there was a problem like this, right? And the person, the complainant, who actually moved against the party, right? And the party was forced to replace it with a new set along with a compensation of rupees 6800. If you can show this case and the act, then the things might be different, right? And this is your right. Very few people in India are aware of their rights, right? Okay, I'm not going to ask you the same question like if this happened with you before, but this is again a question that is taken from Consumer Forum. I'm a Hindu Indian adult woman. I'm in love with a married man. He loves me, that is presumed, but is not ready to divorce his wife. What should I do? I will tell you, this is one of the most frequent problems in India. This kind of questions are everywhere. Again, so that actually has stemmed from lack of awareness, lack of law. Like you see the Consumer Protection Act 1986, we just talked about it. There are other sections on bigamy, right? And several other offenses are there. So it is not really feasible for a common citizen who is not aware of law to actually be aware of all these things, and they're taken advantage of this lack of knowledge, right? So we think thrice, not even twice, thrice, 4 times before actually contacting a lawyer, because a lawyer, if that person does not have the right intention, may even take advantage of the fact that you are unaware of law. Imagine a situation where you have something like this. So you are the citizen on the left, and on the right you have a human legal expert, right? It's not really readable. So it's like the same query. I bought Samsung Galaxy and all those things. What do I do now? The right hand side, it says that it is within warranty. Please ask for replacement or refund. It is a consumer rights and you should contest. But for that you have to be lucky to have a friend as a lawyer, right? But it doesn't happen in reality. Okay, where do I point it here, right? Okay. Yeah. Suppose I replace the lawyer with an AI legal expert. Now, and suppose that is anonymous, right? That person doesn't know who you are, or this is not a person. So it can be an app which you can download on your phone and ask the same question, and it gives you the same response. This might be extremely helpful in many of the cases if the response is correct. So this is an envisioned system, but this is not restricted to this application. So now what I've done is I replace a common man with a human legal expert. So this is also a scenario. I've been working in this area, as I mentioned, 13, 14 years. There are many legal experts who also expect AI help, right? In this situation, there can be multiple complex situations where an intervention of AI is actually helpful to the legal experts. They can be lawyers, they can be judges of Supreme Court also. You heard me right. So I will show you some examples where AI has been used. AI is being used, and AI needs to be used. Okay, so it's in Estonia. So can AI be a fair judge in the court? Right? So this is an excerpt from an article. Estonia actually thinks that it can. So there are several examples where artificial intelligence has been applied to the legal domain. England, Australia, most of the first world countries have already adopted artificial intelligence. And India is not far behind. So it's an article where the Chief Justice of India, the previous Chief Justice, now the Chief Justice is Mr. Chandrachud, and the previous Chief Justice actually welcomed AI system to assist judges in legal research. So in human life, we are looking for a cordial bond. So most of my talks are in front of students or faculties of law or practicing lawyers. So I start with this picture, with this welcoming sense, because they have the impression that maybe we will be irrelevant. We will lose our jobs when artificial intelligence is there, right? Like some government opposed around the world the intervention of artificial intelligence. So computers should not be taught, right? So it is going to take away jobs, right? It did not, right? Artificial intelligence cannot replace human beings. Human beings are far more intelligent. Artificial intelligence will never go there. Believe me, we are extremely intelligent without ourselves realizing that fact. We are meant to solve higher level problems. The basic menial problems can be solved by artificial intelligence so that we can get rid of them, and stop thinking about them. Human beings, human mind needs higher level problems. The reason why we are here with all these technologies, right, and with due respect, all the other organisms who existed before Homo sapiens came into being, have not evolved to this stage. It is because of the intelligence, right? The human intelligence is supreme. So artificial intelligence can never replace, and it should not be allowed. Although I am from artificial intelligence background, but this is something which cannot be compromised with. But there are multiple problems where AI can help, but you have to know what AI is capable of and what AI is not capable of. There are these multiple domains, but a person like I am a person with limited capability. It is impossible for me to talk about intervention of AI in all the fields. But I am only sticking to artificial intelligence and law, and let me show you some examples. Before that, before looking at the examples, let's look at the brief history of artificial intelligence being inducted to the legal domain. So it is believed that in 1977, Professor L. Thorne McCarty, who is an assistant professor at Harvard University in 1970s, actually used artificial intelligence for taxation. So there is a situation: what kind of what rule in tax, or what under what tax category this situation might come. So artificial intelligence was used to automate this process, right? It's way back in 1977, and Professor McCarty is considered to be the father of artificial intelligence and law. Then there has been multiple interventions. There is Helic 2 in 1993. It's in Japan. So its situation is like this: that Mr. A and Mr. B quarreled violently, and Mr. A threatened Mr. B with a knife. So what action should be taken against Mr. A and Mr. B? So the situation is Mr. A threatened and Mr. With a knife, and Mr. B in self-defense has done something, right? So these are two different, I would say, statutes of law which are applicable, and this system was used to find what is applicable. Like if a particular offense is against, say anyone, can be against a child, against woman, what kind of what section of law is applicable, that has to be determined first. What offense was done, right? Was it murder? Was it intentional murder? Was it accidental murder, right? Was it abuse? What was it, accident? First that has to be determined. If there is doubt in what happened, there cannot be justice, right? So first there is sufficient time that is spent to actually come to conclusion, okay, this is the fact of the case, as confirmed by multiple authorities, the police and investigating officers, right, CBI and all these parties. They actually conquer into the set of events that might have happened. On that, the applicability of particular statutes are determined. Based on that, the further processing can be done, right? So this is an example where this system was used in 1993. So there are many systems in between, but none of them actually were deployed to a court system. That is why it did not attract attention. But this is one of the first systems which was used in a court, and it attracted lot of attention for the wrong reason. It's a famous case. It's published by the New York Times and covered by most of the top media houses in the world. It's called COMPAS, Correctional Offender Management Profiling for Alternative Sanctions 2016. It's a system which was used by an apex court of the US for determining recidivism. That is, a person is convicted with a particular crime. What is the chance that the person is going to repeat that crime? If the person is going to repeat that, if that probability is high, then the person will be sentenced with larger quantum of punishment. Say the sentence will be longer. And based on the recommendation of the system, a person was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and it was severely criticized. Why? Because firstly, COMPAS was a black box system. Nobody understood how it worked. And secondly, there was a study which was done by ProPublica, actually shown that it has discriminated against the blacks. So it has been seen based on some background, like number of crimes committed and lot of other factors. It is seen that persons of two similar background are getting different scores by the system. The person who is, as you can see, the skin color, the person is white, has low risk of repeating the crime or low probability of repeating the crime. A person with similar background who is, you can see the color of the skin, it has high risk. 10 means very high. So if this system has to be trusted based on for drug possession arrest, so this person will be given larger quantum of punishment, right? And that is exactly what happened. So this is clear racial discrimination as a part of the system. So should we stop using the system? So it is not, it is about algorithmic fairness. It is something called algorithmic fairness. So the Justice Bradley said that the system was not blindly trusted upon. This was a suggestion which was given by the system. The ultimate call was taken by human judges. So we agreed with the system, and hence the judgment was passed. So according to him, according to the Chief Justice, it is up to the human beings whether to accept the recommendation of the system or not. So there are examples of multiple such systems. Like heart was used in England. It has a bias against the poor, like it kept incriminating the poorer people more, and like the reason behind this might be that the data is also biased. Data that is inputted historically, it might be seen that blacks might have committed more crimes in the history, right, in the past, or poorer people have committed more crime. That is natural, right? But system should not be biased by that. So the system should be such that given the same background, irrespective of race, religion, gender, same quantum of punishment should be meted out, right? There lies the problem. Again, a system called Victor was used in Brazil. It actually had a prediction accuracy of 95%, but it could actually solve the same problem, similar kind of a problem, in 1/8 of the time that was taken by human to reach the decision. And this was actually used for some period of time, but it also faced some controversy, because it was again a black box. So lack of understanding of how it is working created a lot of problem. India, unfortunately, there has not been any significant progress like this, but there has been effort of forming data sets for artificial intelligence, but I'm not aware of any work done after the data have been collected, and some translation have been done from English to the local languages. That's all. So let's look at some problems which AI can solve, right? So if you have any legal background, you would understand. If you would have been aware of these two problems: statute and prior case identification. So statute identification is what I just told you. So we have to be sure about what happened, and the facts of the case is actually written down by a person. The person has knowledge in law. That can be a lawyer, that can be a police personnel, right? That can be a police officer who is filing the case, right? So here the facts are like this. So there was some dispute with respect to land, and so some quarrel had taken place, right, in relation to raising of boundary wall. And on 12th April 1983, about 7 p.m, the deceased, accompanied by P3, had gone to P4, prime witness 8, to engage some laborers for cutting crop in the field while returning from the house of P4. When the deceased came near L1, that is one person, of appellant number 4, he shouted to the remaining accused who were there that the deceased was their enemy and he could not be allowed to go and kill him, right? The appellant number 6 P5 assaulted the deceased with a lathi on his head. When he fell down on the ground, the appellant assaulted him, and finally that person died. So they already had lathi with them, and they actually assembled with the intention of killing that person. So if you read the whole case, you will understand. So this is not the whole fact. I've taken only the important part. So this is an actual case of the Indian Supreme Court, and this was the statute which is applicable, IPC 302, that is intentional murder, the murder done with an intention of killing someone. It is not accidental. but now, so it is IP. So the section here, or the statute I was mentioning what statute is applicable. Here the statute is Indian Penal Code 302. Says whoever commits murder shall be punished with death or imprisonment for life and shall also be liable to fine. By the way, on July 1, 2024, IPC has been replaced by Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. But since it is an older case, IPC was applicable here. So what is the task here? So the fact of the case will be input to the AI system, and the AI system will actually come up with IPC 302. If it comes up with some other statute, then it is wrong. If it comes up with this statute, then it is right. This is the problem. So there has been a lot of work done. I'm not going to go deep into this. So this is a published paper, and where people have been trying to do this with several complex algorithms, and macro F1 is a measure of accuracy, and you see where multiple statutes are applicable in a case. It is not only 302, say 5, 6 or 10 statutes are applicable. There the performance is not very good. It's 0.29. The maximum, the perfect prediction would have been 1. So artificial intelligence systems are, so as of 2022, they are not anyway close to the level of acceptance. So there are other problems. So this, I guess, for a lawyer is the most interesting problem. That is called prior case retrieval or prior case identification. You ask any lawyer, given a case situation, in order to frame the case, the lawyer would need the cases which were decisioned in the past and which are relevant to this. I can give you one example. So suppose you have a garden, right? So garden that is secured by a boundary wall, right? So that is your property, and one of your neighbors every day comes and throws some garbage, right? So that is some sort of infringement of public property, right? Private property. So you will look for a case in the past where something similar happened, right? Say you find a case where there was a piece of land which was in boundary wall and demarcated. So this portion of land is a private property belonging to someone, and there is a factory nearby, and the factory actually kept on depositing some waste in your land. Now you try to compare these two situations. They are very similar, right? Though the place is different. So the factor that is common is there is some private property, and that private property is being infringed upon. Someone from outside is using your private property without your consent. That part is common. So what a person would do, you look for the previous similar case, and especially where the aggrieved, whether the person whose private property was infringed upon, have gone to the court and won the case. So that kind of case will be used in the current case. So I gave another example. When you have your phone that is defective and that is within warranty, I showed you a case, prior case, where something similar happened, right? So that is a prior case in your case. So even if you do not move to the court, that can be used for getting the work done. Or if you choose to move to the court, you can actually cite that case that this is similar, something happened and he got a new phone, that person got a new phone, and the person got some compensation also. So this is a real life problem. I'm not going into the depth of this problem because it's a bit complicated, and in the interest of time, I will go to the next problem. So when you search in, say, Google, right, you will see some summary for each of the web pages. Sometimes they show some snippets, right? So that is a gist of what you are looking for, or that these are the portions which matches your search, or it can highlight some sentences as a part of this Wikipedia page, and you don't need to go into the Wikipedia page. That highlighted part is shown at the top. That is a summary of what you are looking for. Similarly, in the legal domain, summarization is an important problem. Why? Because even if you have say 100 prior cases with you, suppose the hearing of your case, if you are a lawyer, is say next day, and you are here to prepare your case. You have identified some of the important prior cases, but suppose there are 95 or 90 prior cases which are quite long. Each case can be 1000 pages long, right? So you don't want to read the whole case. You want to read only the salient point of the case. What happened, who won, and on what ground, right? So summarization, actually we tried to solve this problem after consultation with the lawyers. So these problems were given to us by the lawyers. So what we did, so this is okay, you don't need to understand the table if you don't want to. So what we did, we thought that summarization, document summarization, if you know about artificial intelligence and natural language processing, summarizing a text document is a well-known problem. People are working in it on it for, I would say, 10, 15 or even 20 years. So you see that there are many algorithms available, and we run all of them and saw that the results are not bad, right? And we showed the summary to the legal experts. They said that this is absolutely useless to us. This summary is of no use to us. We asked why. We use the best algorithms in the world, but we don't care what you used. But I can tell you what we need. What we need is precedent, statute, fact, and the reasoning. These should be there, and none of the algorithms actually did well on all these 4 fronts. So in a summary, we need a crisp summary of the fact. In the summary in itself, we need what statute was applicable, like IPC 302 is an example. We need some important precedents like prior cases, and we need the final decision with the reasoning why that final decision was arrived. If any one of these are missing, that summary is useless to us. So we took the help of the legal experts, right? And we identified these different portions. So by the way, this is an example of a real Supreme Court case. It's like a person versus person. Like if you see any case, like you will see that say state of West Bengal versus a particular person, you will see this kind of a case. So here Jageram and others actually filed a case against the state of Haryana on 28th January in the Supreme Court, right? So Jageram and others were the appellants, the person who filed the case, and against state of Haryana, respondent, and this was a whole judgment, and R. Bhanumati J. Dot was the judge. Thank you. Timely intervention. So here, okay, so this is an example of facts of the case. This is ruling by lower court. This is argument of leading to the final judgment. This is a precedent of that case, and this is the ratio of the decision. That is the logic that was used by the Chief Justice, or in this case the Supreme Court judge, to actually reach the final decision. And section 307, 325 and 324 were applicable. So these were the statutes, and we managed to prepare a summary which took care of all these measures. So that name of that algorithm was del sum, and as I was introduced, like this was the paper that was mentioned, ICAIL, that got the best student paper award. So a PhD student was involved, and it is the best conference of artificial intelligence and law in the world. And these were the results, and after this the summary was praised by the same legal experts, right, to show that now we are happier, but you can do better than this. So the quest is on. So these are the problems which have been solved by multiple by multiple scientists in this area. But unfortunately, I get frustrated when I see that none of the legal experts actually have read our work, because the lawyers don't read the publications. Academia works in their own way, and the legal fraternity in India work independently. They are not aware of each other, right? Though we try to work with the legal experts. So AI is something which is not known to the legal community. They work in their own way. They use some websites like, say, Manupatra and some of them, but they are, to my knowledge, are not equipped with the latest interventions of artificial intelligence. So if you look at the future directions, one reason which my colleagues from IIT Kharagpur, IIT Kanpur think that, which might be the reason why the legal experts have not used the systems which are developed. One is they don't have any idea what is going on inside, right? Even if it is correct, if you do not know why it works, then we are not going to trust it, and there is no problem in that faith, right? So explainability is of paramount importance. So suppose you go for a visa, right, and you want to go to the US, and there is a robot which says that the visa is denied without any reason, right? So this is not what you want. You want to know why, right? Why was it denied? So next time I apply for the visa, I would know what went wrong this time. There is no chance for me to correct myself. And there is an apprehension from the lawyers that so instead of human beings, there will be robot, artificial intelligence fighting over cases, that they might be more intelligent than us. And okay, this is the apprehension. The cases are also going to be decided by AI, but I am going to assure you that this is not going to happen anytime in the near future. Okay, then what is explanation? Suppose we design a system, right? I've been talking to a legal expert on this. So yesterday someone from NUJS came, right? I don't know whether we're there in the audience or not. So I've been working with some faculty members of NUJS for over 5, 6, 7 years now. I asked one of them that, okay, I know that you do not like my system, but suppose I want to incorporate explainability, then how should I do it? Then he mentioned that in this case, the older case which I showed you, right, there was some property dispute and someone killed someone else, 302 was applied. So this was a prediction, and the prediction was okay. Along with this, you should also highlight why. So this is the why part that was highlighted by him. So if your system is able to emit the reasoning behind the correct prediction, that system might get accepted. And I'm going to finish with the future, or the future is already here. How many of you have not heard about ChatGPT? How many of you have never used ChatGPT? Okay, only one person. Okay. Okay, for your information, I would like to say that ChatGPT in the history of online services has taken the least amount of time to reach 1 million users. You can see this is ChatGPT. This is Netflix and Dropbox. I think it is way fast. And Google is not here, but Google, it has taken less time than Google even. In a span of 2 years, I would say, it has almost thrown Google out of relevance, because people now, many of the tech savvy people nowadays prefer ChatGPT over Google, because they have the feeling that we are talking to a human being. Google is a search system, but it's not an interactive system. We want to talk to someone who is like a person, right? And last year, I would say, in 2023 or 2022, Colombian judge, Justice Juan Manuel Padilla, said to the Guardian, one of the leading newspapers, that ChatGPT is wonderful, and that person actually used ChatGPT to write some part of the final judgment. Can you imagine? And British judge said that it is jolly useful. Indian judge, right? And I have talked to High Court judges of Delhi High Court, right? They said of Delhi High Court and Bombay High Court, right? I've talked to them on one-to-one basis in a seminar which happened last year. So they said that yes, it is really good, but you should not trust it completely. You have to use your own discretion also. But in most of the cases, it is quite good. And let's find out how good it is. So this is same case which is asked, like that boundary wall breach and some people killed someone else. The same case, again repeating. Which penal code sections are applicable to the case described as this one? This is a query which I asked to ChatGPT, and it was bang on target. I showed these to legal experts, multiple legal experts. I went to OP Jindal University, that is the #1 private law university in India, and it is the only law institute or university in the world to feature in World University rankings. It ranks 70 in World University rankings. I showed to them, I showed to NUJS experts. They showed that all of these are correct. And the complaint which I showed, the Chroma Baroda, right? And this is also bang on target. Everything is correct. So, okay, how much time do I have? 10 minutes, okay. So this is how can this be done? I mean, you might be asking that, like, suppose I want to use it in my field. I mean, how am I going to do this? Then you have to learn something called prompting, right? So you might be thinking that, okay, I'm not from computer science background, or I'm from a different background, or I'm not that tech savvy. I don't use smartphones that much, right? But believe me, anyone can do this. There is a movie called ABCD, right? Anybody can dance, right? So it's like A, B, C, P. Anybody can prompt. Believe me, prove me wrong. It is as easy as asking a question. So what is the prompt here? This is the prompt which I asked. What legal advice can be given in the following scenario? And it copy paste the scenario. You have the scenario with you, right? And this is the answer. It is as easy as messaging in a WhatsApp, right? But to get a better feel of it, you can design the prompt in a different way, in a better way. So this is a paper, our paper, which got accepted last year. It's a core A-star conference. A A-star is the highest rating which you can give to a conference, an international conference. And you might know that, okay, it is not true for Indian, I mean, academia, but in Indian industry. And when I applied to postdoc outside India after doing my PhD, I've seen the situation all over the world that in computer science specifically, conferences are, in general, I mean, these core conferences are considered to be superior to journals, but there are exceptions. There are some exceptional journals, like in computer science. So I'm not talking about Nature and Science, or say PANAS, right, or maybe TPAMI. There are some exceptional journals, but in general, SCI versus Core A or Core A star, everyone is going to take Core A star to shortlist you for a position abroad or in company. Suppose you are going to apply in Google, apply to Google and all these things. So let's not go there. So it was accepted there, and these are some of the prompts which I mean we designed for statute prediction, and we found out that it outperforms the state of the art. So it does better than what machine learning algorithm so far has done by simple prompting. We did nothing else. We just did the prompting in a better way, right? And that's not the end. We also asked it. So suppose going back to this prompt, you also ask why, what advice and why do you think that this is going to work? Or here in this case, okay, does it not work? Yeah, okay, it does. You also ask that why is this particular statute 302 is applicable, right? It also actually it comes up with an explanation, but explanation, I told you, is not what is generated here. It is the part of the text that is relevant. As an example here, if I go back to this example here, so this is the explanation. Why is 302 applicable? Because there is sufficient evidence, in fact, that there are some people who are waiting and who are already equipped with some weapons for killing, so that they had the intention to murder, they had the motive to murder. So that part is the explanation for the applicability of IPC 302. So that part can also be generated by ChatGPT and this kind of models. So this is an example of explanation which was marked by law professors, and this is generated by ChatGPT. Okay, maybe it is not easy to read. I can tell you that they are identical. They are very, very similar, right? And I showed these generated explanations to the legal experts, and they were surprised. And somebody told with a smile that this is going to make us non-relevant in the future if this goes on like this, right? So now we are here to ponder. So this is also generated by ChatGPT. This image, it is generated by DALL-E, and is a female judge, a female legal expert who thinks that is a problem solved then, right? So are we going to run out of business? Well, no. There are situations of hallucinations. So there were multiple cases where the detection is done only at the surface level. So it is the ChatGPT or this kind of models who are not properly trained with legal knowledge, they tend to pick up some important keywords. Like here, it is a case of dowry, so it's not readable. It is a case of dowry, and based on dowry, some assault was done. So it picked up some cases of assault, but it ignored the dowry part, right? So there are many such cases. And there is gender discrimination, which means that it worked. So when it did not work, when it underperformed, the performance was worse in the cases where the person who was aggrieved is a female. It worked better. The errors are less when the aggrieved person is a male. And also there are multiple cases. So when these explanations were generated, the he was changed to she. She was changed to he. So it has an inherent bias that in most of the cases it is more tilted towards male than female. So there is some gender bias and there is lack of fairness. So I've been talking about compass and all these things. It has been trained on some data, and this has also been trained on historical data. So it is extremely important to have high quality and expert monitored training data, and experts of that area, in this case the legal experts, should work hand in hand with artificial intelligence experts. Fairness, accountability, transparency and explainability should be ensured. And of course, this I already mentioned, AI and law fraternity should work as one. But again, should we at all use artificial intelligence? Because given that these problems are there and these problems will remain, given the humongous amount of data out there, it is very difficult to ensure that the data is clean, and it is going to take a lot of time. And every day, as we speak, new data is getting generated. Look at the protests which are going on. With regard to the recent mishap that has happened, already billions of comments have been posted on multiple media. Suppose you want to use artificial intelligence to filter out the say the more pertinent posts, it is going to take a lot of time. But Supreme Court pendency is on the rise, and this many cases are pending in high courts, 598747, and we are not doing too well with regard to the number of judges which are available to solve these cases. But there are some interventions going on, some AI systems are getting developed, and there are interventions in the medical domain also. So there are many tools used by the doctors, by the patients, based on AI, and they are doing fairly well. And is an example of a farming tool that is going to be launched, I think, this year. It has been approved by the government of India for automatic watering and injection or spreading of pesticides on large areas of land using a robot. So this has been approved, and this will be used in, I think, in Punjab, Haryana, these areas for test, to see the results. And we believe that this is the future, not only with respect to law but in general. And my acknowledgements to Dr. Saptarshi Ghosh, who is an associate professor at IIT Kharagpur, Shobhik Kumar Guha of NUJS, Rajiv Gandhi Law School, IIT Kharagpur, many other students, and ChatGPT 4.0 mini for generating the images. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kripa Bandhu Ghosh. I would just like to open the house for 5 minutes if you have any questions. We had a wonderful session, so if you would have any questions, you can come up with it, please.
With regards to one aspect of what legal procedures entail, that is the matter of appeals. So, do you think it's possible that, with if we were to have more AI generated judgments, how do you expect to have different kinds of contextual kind of appeals and decisions based on that?
Can you give an example?
Like, let's say in a lower court there's a judgment that goes against me, but in when I go to High Court or Supreme Court, I can expect some judges or some context, some more context to that thing, or some new law intervention, some kind of fairer, hopefully, judgment. But if if we keep it on a machine, right, then can I expect a better and more contextual judgment in a higher court? Let's say a machine gives me a judgment in the lower court, and I challenge it and go to a higher court. Can I expect a better quality judgment or a fairer assessment of the matter, given the same facts and things, you know? So that was my question.
No, thank you for the question. I would like to ask a counter question.
Yeah.
Do you really go to the higher court with the same case, or do you want to raise some objections against the judgment with respect to some points with which you disagree? You'll go with a better preparation, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So if the input is same, any AI system will always give the same output if it is a good system. But if you can try to correct itself, for example, in case of say ChatGPT, I'm not going into the proper machine learning models. You can ask it again that, are you sure this is what I asked, and you can provide some clarification. So what it does is it can revisit its previous decision, and it will try to refine some of the factors which it used for the judgment, and that decision might change. But it all depends upon how crucial it is, how important that information is to make it change its final decision. Because if you do it manually also, you might lose at a higher court also. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Particularly in outside India, what I have heard that artificial intelligence and computer professionals are preparing the database on which judgments are being handled, or lawyers are fighting court cases in courts in Britain. Can you throw some light on those areas in UK particularly?
I must say that I'm not an expert in that, but I showed you. Okay, I did not go in depth. I talked about compass, but if I may go back. Okay, I can see. Go back. So actually I talked about one such system which was used in the US, that is Compass. There was similar system which was used in the UK. It's called HART, H-A-R-T, and it's for a similar purpose, and it also had some problem. But yes, machine learning. So what is machine learning, right? Machine learning involves some training and some testing. Like for human being, we are taught like A for apple, right? First time a baby looks at this, is an apple, something that can be felt, that can be touched, that can be tasted, right? And that is the cognition part. First time it's seen, that it is trying to learn it, right? What is it, right? Next time that person, that baby looks at the apple, it will then try to recognize it. So cognition and recognition, right? Without cognition there cannot be recognition, right? Similarly in machine learning, there has to be training, there has to be specific task. What you want to do, suppose you want to predict the judgment, suppose this is a case and who is going to win the case, you want to do this, then you have to train the system with sufficient, right? So sufficient is something that is a parameter, sufficient number of cases where the case description is there and the final judgment is there. The machine will try to draw an association, or in maths, like it will try to learn a function which takes the facts of the case as input, and it will try to map this to a set this person will win or this person will win. So it's like learning a function, right? So after this training is done, it is done. And in that hard cases, they also take prepared a repository of plenty of prior cases which have been decided upon. So they know the answer and they check whether the system is able to predict it correctly. After that, they used it for a real life situation. So that happens everywhere. Did I ask your question?
Yeah.
Sorry, did I answer your question?
It's to some extent predictable. To
Yeah.
some extent.
Thank you.
I have a very specific question. The modus operandi of a criminal depends on his psychology. It keeps changing from time to time, right? So the human psychology is very complicated, and when a criminal is going to commit a crime, he improvises. How to cope up AI to counter this?
That's a very interesting question. Okay, I think the police themselves are struggling to solve this problem. So for that, again, as I mentioned, there is cognition, there is recognition. You need multiple case studies of some of the most intelligent criminals. I don't know whether these case studies by Sherlock Holmes or Agatha Christie, they will be of any use or not.
These are obsolete nowadays, I guess.
Yeah. But human psychology, you are talking about human psychology, how a person can improvise, that is very difficult to model. But you can think about what are the possibilities given a particular situation, and you can try to predict some of these possibilities and then take a course. But honestly speaking, artificial intelligence has not gone to this extent yet.
Thank you.
Any more questions we have? We now then take a break of 15 minutes for coffee. Coffee is outside. And we'll come back at 11:40 for our next session on do's and don'ts of digital content creation by Dr. Uma Shankar Pandey, Associate Professor and Head of the Department, Mass Communication and Journalism, Surendranath College for Women. So we now break for coffee for 15 minutes and come back. Thank you.